Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Daly and I'm an educator here at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to harness the natural power of light to create your own portable pinhole camera. The art of photography is actually a scientific invention. The first camera, the Camera Obscura, was used over 2,000 years ago. Latin for dark room, the Camera Obscura was exactly that, a dark room with a small hole that allowed light to beam through. Artists would use the Camera Obscura to trace projections of objects so that they could create very realistic renderings in their drawings. Cameras today utilize the same science of using light, except instead of a tiny hole, cameras today have lenses. The light will travel through the lens and create an upside down and reverse image onto the film, which is where the image is captured. Most of our cameras today, though, store our images digitally, but we wouldn't have them without the science of light and the use of a lens. At first, the complexity and time needed to take a photograph reserved the camera's use for taking images of still objects and people. But as the camera became more advanced, portable, and inexpensive in the early 1900s, people could use it to capture live events as they were happening. This brought photography to a whole new level of artistry and purpose for capturing the reality of the world. We can see this in the Komoenge Workshop, which was founded in 1963. The group consisted of African American photographers in New York City who utilized the power of the camera to capture moments of truth in their communities. Particularly during the Civil Rights Movement, the Kamoinge Workshop sought to use photography to lift up the Black voice and story in America and counter the negative projection of the mainline media. Photography was a form of social resistance and artistic experimentation for the group, and they sought to amplify and support the craft and viewpoint of Black artists. Today we're going to be making a portable pinhole camera viewer, or portable Camera Obscura, so that we can see the science behind light and cameras while also taking a new look at the world around us. So for today's project, you're going to need a shoebox. I recommend one that is dark, especially on the inside. If your shoebox is white inside, that's okay. You can paint it black or put some black paper inside, but if it's already a darker shoebox, that's perfect. You're also going to need a ruler, a pencil, pretty sharp pencil, some scissors, tape, an X-Acto knife or another sort of knife. Please ask a parent before getting this tool, or ask a parent to use this tool and help you while we're making. And you'll also need some wax paper. So the first thing we're going to do is prep our shoebox. Now, you can take the lid off to get started, just to have a little room to work. And the first thing we're going to do is poke a hole in our shoebox. This is going to be our lens that lets the light through. So if you get a sharp pencil, I like to try to use a ruler and kind of get in the middle of the shoebox. And I'm actually going to aim it a little lower too, because when we put the top on, we don't want it to block it. So you can try to poke a hole with your sharp pencil. If your shoebox is too thick, you can use that X-Acto knife or another knife, but please make sure you have permission from an adult, or an adult is using it for you. You might have to dig a little bit and spin to get your hole. But there, yeah, we have a nice hole now for our lens. That will let the light through in our camera. Okay, on the other side of the short side, we are going to cut out a small square. So we want this square to kind of be in the middle of the box as well. So get your ruler out, kind of make a mark in the middle, and remember the shoebox top will go down, so we want to make sure it's low enough. All right, so I marked the middle, and then I'm going to draw a square that's about 2 inches on each side. So I'm going to draw it with my pencil first. And it's okay if it's not perfect. Okay, so I've got my little square there. I'm just gonna put my top on to make sure I'm not blocking it. And see, my top blocks it a little bit, so I'm gonna lower it down. straight line. Okay, so once you have your square drawn, this is where that X-Acto knife comes into play. So please make sure you ask a parent before you use it or have a parent help you with this part of the project. So you're actually going to start cutting out your square in the shoebox. And especially if your shoebox is thicker, you're gonna have to really push down hard. All right, so once you cut out the hole, it's okay if it's not perfect. Remember, this is gonna be our viewer. So if this was a real camera, this is where our film would be, where it would capture the image. But for us, it's just gonna be where the image is projected. So our square we measured was about 2 inches. So I'm gonna cut a square on the wax paper that's just a little bigger. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. Get my wax paper. Okay, so I'm gonna make my square about 3 inches, just so I know it'll fit over the hole. Okay, so once you've drawn a square onto your wax paper, go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so once you have your wax paper square, you're going to take your shoebox, place the wax paper over the square you cut out, and you're just gonna tape it down. Okay, so this makes the viewer to see your image once it's projected. And then you can put your lid back on and we're ready to start experimenting. To actually use your pinhole camera, you're gonna need a few more things. Get a blanket or a towel, something that you can easily put over your head. And you're also gonna need to go into a room that is a little darker, dimly lit room. It doesn't have to be completely dark, but just a darker room. And make sure in that room there's a lamp or some sort of light source. When you go in, you're gonna get your Camera Obscura ready. You're going to point your pinhole or the hole towards the light. That's your lens, that's where the light's gonna come through. Make sure your viewer is facing you. You're going to need to cover your head and part of the box with your towel. Let me show you how it would look. That will create a darker room for your image so that you can see it better. Now remember, you want to hold it about arm's length, but you don't want to get too close to the lamp. The image that you see should be the lamp or the light that you're looking at, and just like a Camera Obscura, it's going to be upside down and reversed. Once you get a hang of using the portable Camera Obscura, put some different objects under the lamp and keep experimenting to see if you can get new images. Remember to be patient, it takes a little time to get your images focused. I even encourage you to head outside and see if you can use your portable pinhole camera to see our community in a brand new way. Thank you so much for joining me today, exploring the science and art of photography.